My entire sports background is, you know, I like sports, but
Hmm.
also who has the time?
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Optimistic Underdog podcast, where we talk about official sports news with unofficial sports people. I'm your host, Erica, as usual, and I am joined by an awesome guest today. This is my friend, Jessica. Jessica, what is up?
Erica, not much, just, hanging out, getting through the Snyder Cut piece by piece.
I think that is what a lot of people have been doing the past few days. So let's take a quick break from the Snyder Cut and jump into sports. So we have a lot of sports news this week. We have the championship game coming up tonight, which will be over by the time this comes out, but let's just hope for that Wild Aces win again. So,
Just dominated. It was a great game.
yeah, it was an awesome game. It was great. Had some Glacier Boy tears afterwards, right? Let's keep our fingers crossed that that is exactly what happened. If not, then I'm sorry that I said all of this, and we'll try again next time, right?
It's
Right.
100% my fault, and that's okay.
Yes. We've been talking a lot of trash today already, so yeah, it's been good. All right, so let's get into it. Tell me, what is your sports story from this week?
So this is actually a little bit of an older one, but actually it kind of comes into this week as well. I'm talking about Spurs social media. Now, the Spurs are a basketball team out of San Antonio, Texas. They are a much loved team, known for their fundamentals and their teamwork rather than ego. It's not about one player on the team so much as the team in general. Anyway, their social media team is killing it. They have done some really great stuff over the last few weeks. So they celebrated Mario Day by having a picture of Mario dunking in the Spurs Fiesta jerseys. Now, the Spurs right now rock black and silver, very clean, not very fun. Back in the day, the Spurs used to wear Fiesta colors, so it was pink and turquoise and orange, and it looked amazing and it was very iconic. So the Fiesta jersey is a big deal. They've brought back that merch; it's really cool. Anyway, so the Spurs social media team this week decided to play off of Falcon and Winter Soldier,
Oh,
and so they've been sending out their players as the new Falcon and Winter Soldier, and it's
that's
just real
so
fun
cool.
following them on top of all of you know, the records that have been broken that haven't been achieved since early 2013. I think was the last time they had a player get 20 rebounds and points in a game with, of course, Tim Duncan. So having someone do that this week was also, you know, there's a reason to be excited about it.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. And even so, as me, we've talked about this already that I do not know much of anything when it comes to basketball. Now, I even know what the Fiesta jerseys are. I've even heard of those, which so that's got to say something. But also, I know that the Mario Day post was the one that we kind of connected over, and that's when I was like, "Hey, I need you to come on the show. We need to talk about basketball." And that was so cool. And I actually didn't see the Winter and Falcon, the Winter Soldier and Falcon one, so that is awesome. And I love a good social media team, especially when it comes to sports, especially right now when we can't get a lot of fans in the stadiums. A good social media team is a huge thing.
Important to keep that engagement up and to keep fans really feeling connected because you're right. I mean, we are hopefully going to be able to start getting the opportunity to get back into arenas
Cross our
soon,
fingers.
hopefully maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But
Every day, a few more arenas open. Every day, a few more arenas let more and more crowds open. I know that it's been something that I've been talking about the past few weeks. I know in Pennsylvania, our stadiums are starting to open up to 25% capacity in the beginning of April, I want to say, 2025, somewhere around there. And outdoor arenas, 50%, which is, I mean, I know our baseball team's not coming anywhere close to 50% even during normal times, but that's another story for another day. The Pirates suck. So, um, but yes, a good social media team. We have in the NHL, the Carolina Hurricanes have always been a phenomenal team with their social media. They kind of took this. Don Cherry called them a bunch of jerks a few years ago, and they took that and ran with it. They had T-shirts, which I own one, and just kind of they never looked back, and it was fantastic. And you can never underestimate. They actually, I think, they did a map of everyone who owned a bunch of jerks T-shirt in the states, and almost every state had at least one order from this shirt, and it just goes to show you what a good social media team can do with something like that. And Carolina Hurricanes nail it. And it sounds like the Spurs are doing the same thing.
I'm always a fan of any team that can take something and just make a joke of it and run it into the ground.
Hmm.
You know, that's it's definitely part of something that you can see across my various fandoms of. And one another team that does really good, which I don't even know a lot about this. Again, I know nothing about hockey. Where you know nothing about basketball, I know nothing about hockey. But what I do know is gritty.
Yep. All right, Gritty is the perfect example of our nightmares everywhere. Um, so I know that obviously being from Pennsylvania and the Flyers being our cross state rivals, I have a lot of coworkers who work across the state in Philadelphia. And I remember seeing Gritty that morning and calling the one girl that I work with in Philadelphia. And I'm like, this is a joke, right? And she was like, I don't think so. He was on the news. And I'm like, oh, okay, sure, yeah, okay. And wow, I he really just stole everyone's hearts, including mine. I love Gritty. She got me like one of his little cards and stuff from when he first became a thing in Philly. And man, he just I don't know how you can't love Gritty. I don't love the Flyers, but man, I love Gritty.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I couldn't even have told you what the team was. I know what the jersey looks like, but what the name was, like I was like, I don't know. It's the squirrely thing. It looks like with a
Mm,
bunch of black and orange.
yep.
But Grady, man, I know Grady's name.
Gritty has even inspired. There is a lovely person on Twitter by the name of Riot Rogers. She created a costume and dubbed Gritney that she made, which is Gritty's unofficial girlfriend. Phenomenal. Everyone should check that out because she was actually featured on some Philadelphia news channels and quite a few publications as well. And she did a phenomenal job with that. And wow, she's done some great photo shoots too as well. So she makes props and stuff like that, and yeah, it's pretty impressive. Gritty has inspired many people, and yeah, it's great just to see that. I mean, like you said, you don't know anything about hockey, and even you know Gritty, and that's kind of cool. I love it. The power of good social media
It's very
never
important right
does
now.
cease to amaze. Awesome. Well, the Spurs, like I said, I know we were talking. I don't know basketball, but they caught my attention. Kind of makes me want to watch it more. I'm gonna have to try to start getting basketball. Also, keep an eye out because soon we are going to be doing one of the Let's Learns on basketball, so I can learn about basketball. It's coming soon. Don't worry. Maybe next month we'll try. So awesome. All right, my story today is the retirement of one Drew Christopher Breeze. A sad day for the NFL, but what a story he has. Born January 15th, 1979, he retired on March 14th, 2021. What a career this man has had. He went to Purdue University, and he was actually, and this is something I didn't know because I thought he was with the Saints his whole career. He was drafted by the Chargers in the second round, 32nd overall in the 2001 draft. That's pretty impressive because I don't know if there's anybody else playing that was selected in the 2001 draft. I was still in high school in 2001. That's saying something. Um,
Yeah,
yep.
and that's uh, Drew Brees is out of Westlake High School, which
Mm-hmm.
is we're from the same hometown,
Oh,
so I've
wow.
followed his career, as he's gone on and gained more and more success. Yeah, there's a lot of really great quarterbacks out of Austin, Texas. Nick Foles is another one.
Nick,
Um,
love Nick Foles.
Nick Foles is a person. Um, it's interesting him going 32nd when we've had someone like Vince Young who went real early around the same time. Well, no, maybe a little later. Um, who had such a different career trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
So good on Drew Brees. He seems like a good dude.
It's impressive, and he does. He seems like a very good dude, which is one of the reasons I've always looked like respected him in the league, and to make it as long as he did, it's impressive. But just some of the other names that I recognize from the 2001 draft. You had Michael Vick going number 1 overall that year. Okay, we all know what happened with him. We don't need to go there. But he hasn't played in years, obviously. We have LaDainian Tomlinson was taken number 5 overall, also by the Chargers. Santana Moss selected 16th and Reggie Wayne 30th overall. Those are just a few names. Those are four names I recognize above Drew Brees. And there really weren't meant like, I mean, there were a couple other Pro Bowl selections over him, but most of these names I didn't even recognize from this draft. And none of these guys have played in a while. So that's pretty impressive.
Not
Um,
just, not just for the amount of time he played, but he was consistently playing at a high level through the majority of his career. He didn't have any sort of like downward arc that you normally see as quarterbacks get
mm-mm.
older, but he was also, and he's a big dude and he's a pretty
He
physical
is.
guy.
Very much so. Played on the Saints from 2006, obviously, through 2021. And here's this list, which is just incredible: 16 awards, 13 Pro Bowls, 25 Player of the Weeks, 5 Player of the Months, and 1 Super Bowl victory. I don't think any of us can forget that picture of him with his son at the Super Bowl. I know that is like forever ingrained in my mind because I mean, I didn't have any stock in that game other than I wanted to see him win a Super Bowl, but I'm pretty sure I was bawling like a baby watching that because that picture was just absolutely heartwarming. It was incredible, just him with his
It's
son in
really
that
sweet,
picture.
and it became kind of an image that went and carried on, so that when he was on the cover of Madden that year, they made a
Mhm.
joke out of him putting headphones on everybody,
Yep.
and then at the end of the game they showed the Madden cover, and he puts headphones on the Madden case.
Mhm.
It just it was a really cute like meme that kind of kept going.
It really was great. And here's some of so we have the Super Bowl victory, 13 Pro Bowls, first team all pro in 2006, 4 times second team all pro in 2008, 9, 11, and 18. 2 times NFL Offensive Player of the Year in 2008 and 11. Sports Illustrated Sportsman of the Year in 2010. Associated Press Male Athlete of the Year in 2010. Burt Bell Award in 2009. Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year in 2006. NFL Comeback Player of the Year in 2004. Maxwell Award in 2000, and 2 time Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year in 98 and 2000. That's a lot of stuff, including major NFL records held by Brees, being most career passing yards, most career pass completions, highest career completion percentage, most pass completions in a season, highest single season completion percentage, highest single game completion percentage, tied for most touchdown passes in a game, and most consecutive games with a touchdown pass. That's a lot. And I mean, he is obviously a shoe in for the Hall of Fame whenever he is eligible. But I mean, what a
100%. And
career.
yeah, and again, it's so hard to have that consistency. That's how you end up with at least one touchdown pass per game. And he's got the record for that because again, he's a consistent player who was performing, you know, under any circumstances. And he really he was the heart of the Saints for such a long time. And I remember after the hurricane
Mm-hmm.
that it was a really big deal because they had moved to Houston to play, I believe.
Yeah.
And that was the year of the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
But he had made it his personal mission to bring something to the city of New Orleans. And he's such a good player that it's not an empty promise with him, or it's not something you look at and you're like, he was putting everything that he had into that season so that he could bring that to them. He's had a heck of a career, and it's honestly, there's a lot of people who were still drafting him, in their fantasy league drafts
Oh, yeah.
pretty high up, even
Absolutely.
up to the last couple of years, probably.
Yeah. I would have. I mean, I it's been a while since I've played fantasy football, but definitely I know a lot of people who were still drafting him in their leagues because he was a consistent guy, and he had his injury issues a few times, but I mean, also it just makes you think the only reason he left in 2005, the only reason he was still with the Chargers was because they franchise tagged him, but they drafted Philip Rivers the season before, and I mean, Philip Rivers was there for a long time until the past year or two, I think, is when he left, and then I think he retired too, which is just, I mean, yeah, that's a big career, and it will be nice to see him in Canton eventually. So, congratulations, Drew Brees. I don't think there's much more we can say than that. You've definitely made football a lot of fun to watch over these past years, especially in for the Saints. They're gonna miss you greatly, and I think so are we. So I definitely am. It's gonna be a weird year without him there. So awesome. So what do you
Trails.
have for the week coming up?
So this week is the trade deadline, or this coming week is the trade deadline for the
Mm-hmm.
NBA. So there's some moves that the Spurs are going to maybe make that I'm keeping an eye on. There's some players that we may see go. Um, we had a couple of players that were looking to go to Miami, but that has kind of cooled off a little bit. So the Spurs, like, again, are it's not a team with egos, so you don't really hear a single player. Not since Kawhi Leonard, obviously. That was a whole thing.
I know
Um,
that name too.
yeah, we haven't really had a player who, you hear a lot of news about individually. So I'm really curious to see they keep things real tight. So I'm curious to see what the team looks like at the end of the week.
Mm-hmm. Trade deadlines are always rough. I know that the hockey trade deadline is coming up in a few weeks as well, and it's usually just a couple weeks right after the NBA one. Um, and got stuff planned for that. But I always say every year that I am going to take that day off of work because I'm just like, they're like, who got traded? Did anyone get traded? I'm like, and I'm just such a ball of anxiety mess that day because I want to, especially like this year with the team that I follow the most, especially with how everything's set up this year in hockey. Like, we don't get to really pay attention to the other teams a lot. And we have a new general manager, and I just don't know what to expect at
It
all. And
did just
yeah,
happen.
yeah, I'm just a disaster this year with the trade deadline. So yeah, it'll be fun. So trade deadline's always an exciting and nerve wracking time, and I'm not looking forward to it this year at all.
The last minute dramatic moves are my favorite, where something you
Always.
didn't see coming with some sort of a trade with like one or multiple teams. Those are always the most like, what?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah.
Who do we have?
Yep.
Where?
We moved this guy to this team so we could get this guy from this team, and surprise! Yep, those are always the best ones. So, oh, that's exciting. I am gonna have to keep an eye on that too because I love good trade deadlines. Oh, and I'm really trying to get more into basketball. It's the one I keep trying every year. Maybe soon, one of these days. I'm trying. I've been paying a little bit of attention to the March Madness stuff, so getting there one
This
of
is
these days.
always a fun thing, and that's almost a whole animal in and of itself because of
There's
how
so
crazy
many
dramatic
teams.
and how it's a lot of teams.
So
And
many
it
teams.
moves so quickly,
It
and
does.
things happen that where you're like, oh well, this is number 8 seed's gonna fight this
Mm-hmm.
24 seed, and all of a sudden, you get that's where you hear about these Cinderella stories of a team that nobody saw going to the Final Four, ending up there. And it's
Yep.
I don't know what I haven't been paying attention this year to March Madness, so I don't know what it's looking like right now. But I'm real excited about one of the things that I can say about basketball and baseball is both of those sports. There are so many games that you don't have to pay attention to every single one. Like you can get highlights
Mm-hmm.
from them, but really it's more of keeping an overhead look about how is the season going and what is it
Yeah,
looking like. It's really more about playoff season where you start to pay real close attention.
that is the truth for sure. Awesome. All right. Well, my big thing to watch this week is going to be continuing the NFL free agency. So, right before we started recording, actually, we found out that the Giants have signed wide receiver Kenny Galladay, which is big news, especially for them, to a 4 year, $72 million contract. That's a huge contract. Um, So, yeah, that's big news. And I also know that the Steelers signed wide receiver Juju Smith Schuster to a 1 year deal yesterday, which I don't think anybody saw coming. I know nobody here saw that coming. We all thought he was long gone. But somehow, some way, he's still here for another year. Um, I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that Ben Roethlisberger's still here for another year. But hey, we'll see what happens after next year.
The name I'm
Still
surprised is still in it.
yeah, I don't think anyone saw that coming. I thought he was gonna end up with the Raiders, to be 100% honest. I thought he was gonna go sign a big contract somewhere else. If he wants to stay here for one more year, I mean, I guess sure, but we'll see. We'll see how the next year plays out. Still a lot of big names out there though to be signed. I know that the Steelers still haven't done anything with James Conner, big name that can be signed anywhere. And, free agency, especially this year, especially with Breeze just retiring, and especially with all of the quarterbacks that have been moving around, there's still a lot of things that could happen. And I just love free agency season. I love free agency season in all sports. It's exciting, especially, you usually get a lot of signings the first day or two, and then it calms down for a couple days, and then the next week is when it picks right back up again. So I am really looking forward to seeing what happens next week in free agency. So I think there should be some more exciting things to happen. But yeah, that Galladay deal that's a big news, especially to happen right before we started. Like literally, as I sent you the link, that's when I saw it happen. I was like, oh, what is going on? This is great. It's awesome. But
Yeah, I missed that. I hadn't seen the headline pop up, but it's big, but it's also not super surprising.
yeah,
It's one of those. It's not as surprising as Steelers.
no,
That
I
was
am.
definitely like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of hints with Smith Schuster saying that he was not going to return to the Steelers. There were so many signs that he was not coming back here. I don't know how they worked that out. I don't know, especially without franchise tagging him. That was really what I was surprised. Like I figured that was the only way he was staying here is if they franchise tagged him, which saw how that worked out with Le'Veon Bell a few years ago, and that was just not a good situation. Um, so I guess I'm glad that he just straight up signed a contract with them, and at least there shouldn't be any issues. But at the same time, it still should play out interestingly next season, I think. So we'll see how the rest of free agency goes. So it'll be a lot of fun. Awesome.
For the next week,
Yeah.
a lot of moves that could be happening.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and with free agency and trade deadlines both happening next week, man, that's exciting. Oh, next week's gonna be
Yeah.
exciting. Love it.
Things are,
Awesome.
and that's the thing is it's always really interesting because you see that and come in and you see those last minute scrambles, and so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm really excited about that for both ends.
Yes. I'm excited now. I'm very excited. Awesome. All right. Well, I think that will about wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Would you like to tell the good people where they can find you?
I am at Kikyo1506 everywhere. That's at KIKYO1506. That's you can find me on that anywhere on all platforms.
Yeah, go find her. She's
Come say hi.
awesome. Come say hi. We have good times on the internet, and she knows about basketball, and she's going to teach me more about basketball. You'll see her again here, probably. I'm pretty sure. Hopefully she'll come back and talk to me again sometime, and talk to you
Teach me
guys.
about hockey because I
Yeah,
would love to learn.
we're gonna teach her about hockey one of these days as well. She's gonna teach me about basketball. I'm gonna teach her about hockey, and it's gonna be a fun time. We're gonna learn about stuff more. So, as always, you can find me at Ambelina on Twitter. You can find me at theoupod.com where I talk to Al and Ben about, New Girl and all that other stuff over there. We're almost done with season one and we're going to do some more stuff. So please let us know what you think about the season. Let us know what you want to see next. We want to know. So if you don't mind hitting like, subscribe, all those fun things, we super appreciate it. We're so close to 100 subscribers on YouTube. We're like that close. That close. Ben really wants to get there before my birthday because then he wants merch or something like that. So, and I told him, sure, why not? So, yeah, hit that little subscribe thing, do the 5 stars, leave comments and reviews and all that good stuff. And then you can check out the Patreon too if you want. And if not, then no big deal. But yeah, all right. But, anyways, until next time, guys, keep it unofficial.